Good morning. Welcome to worship at Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Mark Tuning. I go by he, him, and his pronouns, and I serve as the music director for this congregation. On piano today we have Julie Omi. We invite you to sing now. We begin all of our worship with singing. Enter, rejoice, and come in. The words will be on your screen. Here we go. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Good morning, and welcome to the Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Leslie Takahashi. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am very privileged to serve as the lead minister of this congregation. We want to welcome you to this first service of 2021. We are so grateful that you have taken the time to be with us, and we are glad to have you here today. We are a community grounded in time-honored values that we have passed down through the generations, and we celebrate them here today. And in particular, we celebrate our freedom and tradition to learn from the religions of the world, as we will do today, to be informed and enlightened and informed in our own personal paths to spiritual truth. Though you do not have to believe a creed to be comfortable here among us, we do have values that we hold dear, and you can find out more about them and about what we do together at our website, www.mduuc.org. If you're visiting, and we hope we have some visitors this morning, please take a moment and fill out the virtual visitors card that is on the website so that we can be back in touch with you and get to know you a little bit better. This last week, we had a hiatus from our staff, from most of our staff, though clearly some of us were on the job and are on the job this morning. And as part of that, I sent out an email inviting you to take a moment and just express your thanks to our staff through a special page that we set up for that. I know that a lot of people have been off of email for this last couple weeks, and we just want to encourage you to do that because it is important for people to be able to say what it is that means something to them in the hard work that our staff has been doing. So I hope you'll take a moment so that when they come back in the next couple days, those messages will be there for them. We want to thank you again to everyone who participated in our virtual sharing of the holidays throughout the week in the different forms. It was wonderful to see so many of you, and it is your willingness to participate in these new ways of being that make it possible for us to be together. If you have not perhaps been tracking your email quite as carefully, or if you're not getting our emails, which you should let us know, this is a good time to take a moment and get a piece of paper and something to write with because you're going to need them later in our service. We are so grateful to have you here, and caring and connection in our community is critical in this time. If a listening ear would be helpful to you, please let me know in the next couple days, or you can contact our intern minister, Miranda Lennox, starting on Tuesday when they will be back on the job. Welcome to this beloved community.
Good morning. My name is Davina Smith, a member of your Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are she and hers. Let's read together our church mission, which you see on screen. Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church is a welcoming religious community. We bring to life our Unitarian Universalist values as we seek truth and work for justice, nurture compassion and courage, reach out to each other and to our larger community of faith, bridge the divisions that wound the human family, transform ourselves and our world. MDUUC continues to follow necessary restrictions of people and groups on campus for everyone's safety. But you are welcome to come by, visit the campus, and leave an encouraging message on the outdoor blackboards for your friends. We encourage you to stay connected, gather virtually, on screen or by phone, and be in community with each other for services, for justice actions, and for classes, all of which are described in the weekly church email on our MDUUC.org website. I have a special announcement of 2 governance events scheduled this month. We are hosting a virtual congregational forum on Sunday, January 17th, and then 2 weeks later, a virtual congregational meeting on Sunday, January 31st. Both meetings will start at 12:30 p.m., with invitations and registration sent prior in email. At the forum, we will be presenting a board resolution we are recommending to fund potential future emergency maintenance needs, as well as to recommend revisions to the MDUUC Covenant of Right Relations. Our practice is to share and discuss the information with you, our congregation, at a forum, and then we'll bring both of these resolutions for member vote at the January 31st congregational meeting. Members are encouraged to attend both the forum and the meeting. These days can be hard, so remember, if you need help or are feeling isolated, please let one of our ministers know. Take needed rest, take care of yourselves, and welcome. It's good to be together.
We invite you to sing the words of the invocation. You'll find them on your screen. Let me live each day with intention. Let me know truth spirit as my guide. Let me touch the pulse of the world's great heart. Let me glimpse the mystery of its soul.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Carroll, longtime member of MDUUC, and I'm going to light our chalice this morning with words from Brene Brown. True belonging is not passive. It's not the belonging that comes with just joining a group. It's not fitting in or pretending or selling out because it's safer. It's a practice that requires us to be vulnerable, get uncomfortable, and learn how to be present with people without sacrificing who we are. I wish everybody a safe and healthy, happy New Year.
As we begin this new year, we're going to also begin something new, which is to put our time for all ages a little bit earlier in our service. We have heard from families that all this time being on the computer and Zoom and screens has made it harder for people to wait through the longer part of the service to get to this time for all ages. So today, we begin with this story. And the story is a traditional New Year's story from Japan called The Jisusami and the Hats. I'm going to invite everybody to participate with me in this story. 1 year long ago, when it was just before New Year's, a big snowstorm came and blanketed the part of Japan where an old couple lived. Can everyone remember what it's like to be in the cold? It was only a couple days ago. And just, allow yourself to shiver a little bit. The couple was talking, and they said that though they had had a year that was very, very difficult, they would love to have some mochi, some rice cakes for their New Year's, but they did not have any money. So the man said that he would go out into the snow and dig about, and he would find some sedge grass, and he would weave some hats from the snow, and that way he would have something to sell. So they wove the hats together, and he set out on his journey. Can some of you set out on your journey with me? He set out on the journey through the snow. He went down to the market, and as he went, he passed some statues of the Jisusami, the guardians of children and travelers. And as he went, he saw them, and he stopped, and he took his scarf, and he wiped the snow off the heads of the Jisusami and continued down to the market. In the market, he found that though his hats were beautiful, he did not get a single buyer. And so, sadly, he realized he would have no special mochi, no lucky rice cake for the new year for his wife. So he trudged back through the snow. He was cold. And as he came back to the Jisusami, he realized that they also looked cold with the snow that had fallen again on their heads. So he took each of his hats, and he put his hats onto the Jisu. But he only had a certain number of hats, and he was one short, so he draped his scarf over the head of the last Sami. Can you imagine draping something over your head? Over the last of the Jisoo. And he continued home. When he got home, his wife said, "How did it go?" And he said, "I'm sorry, my dear, I was not able to sell even a single hat." "Well, where are the hats?" she said. And he told her that he had shared them with the Jisoo, and she was glad. The couple went to sleep. Can everyone join me in going to sleep? You can snore loudly if you want to. And as they were sleeping, they heard some voices. They heard some voices saying, "Where is the man? Where is the man with the hats?" And they went outside and they opened the door. Can you help me open the door? They opened the door, and there outside was a big mochi rice cake, the largest one they had ever seen. It was so large that the next day they invited all of their neighbors and friends to share it with them, for the Jisoo had rewarded their generosity with the generosity of their own. And the couple went to bed, and they were so grateful. And that is our story, our first time for all ages for this new year. Happy New Year 2021.
We invite you to sing our children to their activities. May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
As we begin this new year, we invited you to send in pictures of yourself and your aspirations for what you would do more of in this 2021. We were grateful to get pictures, some of which were throwbacks to previous days, which we look forward to resuming in this year as the vaccine spread among us. And we are grateful to see these images, many of which portrayed us with people that we love, who we have not been able to be with during these particular holidays. We look forward to these days ahead, and we also know they will be some time in coming. So we are grateful for the ways that we can gather here as a community, and grateful that we can hold together all of these aspirations for this new year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Good morning. I'm Mark David Watanabe, the other Mark from Oakland, and I offer both my pronouns as he, his, and him, and my gratitude for the Sackeye and Miwok people, whose colonized ancestral lands provide space for our church campus. This weekend, actually just right before this service, I participated in an unexpected Zoom reunion, a gathering of a group I was a part of in 2019 that embarked on a guided pilgrimage along the famed Camino de Santiago in Spain. I recall that we each received at the starting point a stone that we were charged to carry with us, to ascribe some meaning to it, and when the time was right, to place it along the path as a gesture of release. My stone represented those with whom I had conducted home visits in the course of my work. individuals who live in single-room occupancy hotels in the Tenderloin neighborhood of San Francisco. Thinking that their lives would never include the privilege or opportunity to engage physically in such a voyage as mine, I felt compelled to invite their spirits to be my vicarious companions. To walk the Camino is quite the special adventure. Pilgrims from around the world, driven by their own personal quest, greet each other with particular words. Beyond the perfunctory Buen Camino, one of us might yell, Ultrea, prompting the response, Et Susea. Ultrea et Susea. Loosely translated from Latin roots, it means beyond and higher, but it is a mutual expression of encouragement and solidarity among pilgrims so that each of us would be inspired to steadfastly reach the final destination, presumably on a higher spiritual plane than at the beginning. The potential for the Camino to be a breathtaking experience is enormous. To be fully present with long periods of silent contemplation, in witness to stunning natural beauty interspersed with profound conversational connections with nearby pilgrims, at its best, it was transformational. Ultrea et Susea indeed. However, when I eventually came to that final destination, the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela, which you see behind me, it was not an idealized, picture-perfect Hollywood ending. It was pouring rain. I was soaked, tired, and feeling somewhat miserable. I suddenly realized that I had carried my stone the entire way. I carefully placed it in a hidden crevice in the plaza that abuts the cathedral in recognition that my companion spirits and I had completed a journey together. Then it hit me. What I was letting go of at that point was the notion that our widely different life circumstances involved separate journeys in which we were merely one another's spectators. Instead, in that instance of completion, I embraced the possibility that the journeys of all of us can be inextricably intertwined in ways beyond cerebral recognition, but palpable in a deeply metaphysical sense. And that, of course, now includes understanding how my life's journey may be melded with yours as well. Unity in diversity. So, at the dawn of a new year, let us greet each other with Ultrea et Susea, casting aside our outdated ideas of what it means to be in community based on a pre-pandemic world to create something that is worth our best aspirations going forward. And to bookend last week's call to worship by that other Mark from Oakland, for the first time in 2021, I am honored to invite you to come, let us worship together.
We invite you to sing together our hymn, number 58 in the Gray Book. If you have that, ring out Wild Bells. The words will be on your screen. Ring, ring out wild bells to the wild, wild sky, the flying cloud, the frosty light. The year is dying in the night. Ring out wild bells and let it die. Ring out the old, ring in the new. Ring happy bells across the snow. The year is going, let it go. Ring out the false, ring in the true. Ring out the grief that saps the mind. For those that hear we see no more. Ring out the feud of rich and poor. Ring in redress to humankind. Ring out false pride in place grace and blood, the civic slander and the spite. Ring in the love of truth and right, ring in the common love of good.
This is the time in our service where we take into the loving heart of this community those joys and sorrows that are too great to bear alone. We begin by lighting 2 candles for Sue and Les Polgar. The first is in memory, Sue writes, of our wonderful brother-in-law, Forrest Nixon, known as Nick. He died very early Christmas morning in St. Louis of COVID. He was 74 and in very good health. The second candle of memory is for Pam Cook Nixon, Nick's wife and Sue's sister, who died April 1st of a blood clot. Today would have been her 73rd birthday. We are holding the Polgars and their family in our hearts. I asked Tristan to light a candle for the Loney family, and particularly for Bob Loney. Bob is continuing to suffer from the effects of cancer, which is not currently responding to treatment. And so Windermere Ranch Middle School has now accepted his retirement, and next Saturday we'll be having a special parade of appreciation. There are people who would like to have a chance to wave some greetings and support for Bob, who is a beloved member of this congregation, are invited to come and wave with Bob at next Saturday, the 9th, from 12 to 2 at Windermere Ranch Middle School. And to be aware that this is a chance to begin to honor and to tell Bob how much we are thinking of him. I'm asking Tristan to light a candle for Endy Stark, who had a fall last week and broke her wrist. Endy is in her usual good spirits and says that she is enjoying peaceful time, so not many phone calls unless you're a close friend. However, cards would be welcomed. I asked Tristan to light a candle for all of those families in our county and among us who are affected by addiction, noting that just near the end of the year, our county announced a record number of deaths due to drug overdoses this year. I asked Tristan to light a candle for all of the frontline workers who are not in the priority list to receive vaccinations. We are thinking of all of them. And we light a candle for Julie Yip, concerned for her husband, Scott, one of the many in the United States Postal Service who are working extra long hours because so many of their colleagues have been diagnosed or tested positive for COVID. And I'd ask Tristan to light a candle for Laura Fisher, who is now officially retired. Tristan, please light 2 final candles. One will hold our joys and sorrows that are here among us, though not expressed with words. And the last holds our hopes and aspirations and our willingness to make them come as true as we can in this new year for our one precious and endangered world. Thank you.
As we enter into our time of meditation, I invite you to join in singing our meditation song, Faith is a Forest. The words will be on your screen. Faith is a forest in which doubts play and hide. Insight can hear the still small voice deep inside. Web of life, may this thread I weave, strength and commitment to all I believe. Vision be my guide as seek my way. Lead me into this tender day. Speak through me in all I do and say. Seeds of both meek and strong are scattered in air. Dignity shines undimmed by bigotry's stare. Web of life, may this thread I weave help me bear witness to all I believe. Justice be my guide as I seek my way. Lead me into this tender day. Speak through me in all I do and say. Fortune and famine ride the swift winds of chance. Sorrow and pleasure seem united in dance. Web of life, may this thread I weave mingle compassion with all I believe. Mercy be my guide as I seek my way. Lead me into this tender day. Speak through me in all I do and say.
Let us join together in this time of meditation and reflection, something that a new year invites us into. A new year gives us an opportunity to see the things that we have seen before in a new way, in a new light, with new considerations and new intentions. What is it that we want to hold and take forward in gratitude from the year before us? For while we may feel that there's very little, if we are honest and search our hearts, we have learned some things, and that is good. For this new year that we are entering into is a year that will not be like the years we have known before. It will be a different year, and it will require us to see the things that we love, the things that are familiar and known, still through our new perspective, renewing commitments that we have and understanding those commitments, renewing our hearts and deepening our knowledge that there are many among us who are no longer with us. In our grove now, one change is that we have placed the beads, each one representing the loss of 100 lives last year, and we have not caught up yet with those losses. But just the presence of this knowledge means that we enter into a different world. This is still a world of great beauty. This is still a world that brings us miracles on a daily basis. And yet it is a world that will require us to walk a different path, a new path, one that is not the same as journeys we have taken before. We will be required to travel in new ways through terrain that may look similar and yet is changed because of our new awarenesses and sensitivities. What this time will require of us more than anything is a broadening and a deepening of our sense of perspective, so that we can behold the beloved and familiar things in our lives and in our world, not just from our old perspectives, with a new and broader perspective, a new and intentional perspective. Let us take a few moments to think about
how we want to enter into this gift we have been given this 2021. We know more than ever now that each day that we are given is a gift, that we should treat the precious gift of life as a gift, and that we should be aware of all the other forms of life that share this gift with us. For all of this, we are deeply grateful and begin this year in gratitude.
Good morning. I am Linda Russell, Vice President of your Board of Trustees. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. First of all, welcome to 2021. I am feeling very grateful to be here, to be looking at 2020 in the rearview mirror. Such a tumultuous year, full of revelation. The year end always gives me pause, but this year even more so. In this, my 65th year on the planet, I am grateful to continue to learn. As I have seen a pandemic stretch across the world, I have learned that in the midst of illness, devastation, and uncertainty, there is courage, compassion, and healing. I've learned in the midst of prejudice, violence, and anger, there are peacekeepers and allies. And there is empathy, and there is love. In the midst of separation and isolation, I have learned even more so the value of connection and fellowship. Since the first week of the pandemic, the MDUUC community has responded to the needs of others in so many ways. We have seen our members leave the area due to the challenges of the pandemic, but we have also seen many new people joining us, coming in through our virtual doors. We are weathering this storm together. Reverend Leslie is the chief of an incredible staff who have brought us consistent and innovative programming from the beginning. From church services to lunches, to local and community gatherings, from pastoral care to classes, to memorial services. And our governing meetings where our voices continue to be heard. The word virtual has indeed taken on new meaning in this last year. We are so grateful for your contributions over this year. Your support means that we can continue the good works that serve MDUUC and the greater community. Thank you for your continued generosity. Peace and blessings to you all, and Happy New Year. And now, please join me for the dedication of our offering. The words are on your screen. To the work of this community in transforming ourselves and our world, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings.
In the Japanese Buddhist tradition, part of the New Year celebration is to sound the bell 108 times to represent the 108 banos, or worldly desires, that one should think about renouncing in a new year. In this 2021, a year in which we will have many things that we cannot control, it is probably worth thinking about those things that we can and the ways that we can reduce and make our lives more tolerable. So we now bring to you the 108 banos. Ostentatiousness, grudge, gambling, ingratitude, dipsomania, ambition, dominance, faithlessness, manipulation, stinginess, pessimism, hostility, abuse, debasement, desire, sarcasm, humiliation, jealousy, gluttony, unruliness, hurt, cruelty, unkindness, obstinacy, envy, indifference, negativity, furtiveness, intentional cruelty, enviousness, derision, falseness, high-handedness, know-it-all, rage, aggression, rapacity, effrontery, disrespectfulness, hard-heartedness, power-hungriness, lying, insidiousness, self-denial, inattentiveness, contempt, wrath, haughtiness, greed for money, seducement, vindictiveness, insatiability, voluptuousness, excessiveness, censoriousness, dissatisfaction, egotism, ignorance, hatred, greed, impotence, imposture, cursing, imperviousness, lecherousness, callousness, malignancy, torment, intolerance, blasphemy, shamelessness, irresponsibility, obsession, prejudice, arrogance, temper, garrulity, dogmatism, presumption, intransigence, oppression, prodigality, lack of comprehension, obstinacy, pride, conceitedness, delusion, quarrelsomeness, self-hatred, violence, vanity, hypocrisy, stubbornness, baseness, pretense, mercilessness, disrespect, ridicule, masochism, tyranny, capriciousness, deceit, anger, discord, calculation, unyielding, desire for fame, and deception. Though we went through those sort of quickly, take a moment and think about one or two that you might consider renouncing this year, or at least making an attempt to renounce them.
On the first service of the new year, each year, it has become our custom to release whatever it is we wish to release from the year just ended. I hope that the recitation of the 108 worldly desires offered you some chance to reflect. I know it certainly did for me. And if you had just a small piece of paper, perhaps it got a little full by the end. I may have dated myself by using the image of Mr. Ed the talking horse for the word garrulity, in case that didn't make sense to you. This is a time in our year when it's important to think about how we release. And I want us to put aside our credulity and perhaps even our false pride for a moment and open ourselves to the possibility that we too may have things that we need to set aside to enter more fully into this 2021. So this is the time to find your piece of paper or to construct an imaginary one if you don't have one nearby. And I'm going to invite us, because I think one of the sources of our know-it-allness in our culture, in our particular religion's tradition, is to rely too much on the mind and not enough on the wisdom of the body. So as we enter into this ritual of release, I invite you to find your breath and to simply breathe in and out, in and out, in and out, and to find the balance that it comes from allowing ourselves to be truly present. And to take another moment and to push some of those skeptical, sarcastic fish voices away, and to consider one thing, or maybe two, that you are willing to release. We look forward to the ability to do this together and are grateful for those who came by to get some of our dissolving paper during this week. In a moment, I will place this paper in our water vessel today for all of us, allowing us to release what we need to enter more fully into this new year. Let us now take up our intentions for this new year.
Let's sing together, Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I want to take a moment before I start to thank Mark and Julie, Tristan, Anand, Troy, Colin, and Liam, all of whom offered the gifts that we enjoyed in this service today, taking a little bit of time out of their week of hiatus to do so. So I want to acknowledge that as we start. So I had great plans about how I was going to celebrate these winter holidays. I actually formulated them back in August. And I got this idea because I was doing some of that cleaning up that I hadn't had the time to do, and I came across the trunk of the Christmas tree from 2 years ago. And I thought to myself, we have missed our ritual of burning the Yule log, and we will do it together as a family this holiday season. I was determined, I was planning ahead, it was all going to be good. And then the rest of 2020 happened. First, the shelter-in-place order, which meant my child that lived out of the town could not journey to be with us, and then more and more information about our hospitals and how impacted they are. And my child, who is in her 8th month of pregnancy, had to stay very close to home with no contact. And that all happened. Still, I thought to myself, I will light this log. So I got it out and I put it on the porch, but somehow in all the chaos of creating virtual Christmas Eve services, it never happened. So I thought to myself, well, New Year's Eve, what a great time to light this log. And so I went out, bought a fire pit, assembled it, which assembly is not one of my strong points, managed to assemble it, got the log out, got it all ready to burn on New Year's Eve, and I just didn't feel like it. So I went to bed instead. Woke up on New Year's Day and thought to myself, after my traditional trip up to Mount Diablo, which was beautiful and which you saw some images from, thought to myself, okay, I will do it on this first day of the year, and that is still part of the holiday season. So I got out the log, sawed it in half, put it in the newly assembled fire pit, assembled various other things to help it burn, and thought I would do it at the close of the day. Right before that, it started to rain. Now, I share this story with you not because it's particularly tragic, which it's not, but because I think it illustrates what we all know, which is that we are living in a time in which often we make plans and they don't go as we would want. So as we start this new year, one thing that we are noticing is that many, many people are refusing, this is quite rife on social media, refusing in any way to think about how they want to start this year. Now, whether you believe in the practice of setting intention or not, that's fine. But there are many people who are just sort of like, it's a bad year and I don't want to start it. I'm glad some things are done, but I'm not willing to have any expectations. So what I want to say about that is that I think that as people of faith, we should put aside that part of faithlessness and put aside that part of grumpiness or obstinacy, whatever it is for you particularly, and to think about how it is that we want to enter into this year. For it may be more important than ever to enter into this year as we wish to do so with intention. We are all travelers on the kind of journey that Mark Watanabe spoke about so well in our call to worship. We are all learners in the way that Linda Russell called us to be learners in this new world, because this 2021 will not be, even in its later months, a return to 2020. It will be a new world. And so we will need to let go and think about whether we want to continue to walk down the narrow streets of old habits or whether we want to journey on wider and more expansive plains, and to think about how we do that as well. Faith is a forest, and we will be traveling among the trees in this year as well, though we know there are some things that we hope at least will be different, and for that we are deeply grateful. I believe, from our particular religious tradition, that we have to be careful as people who are glad to leave behind certain kinds of prejudices and superstitions, that we don't fall victim to the ones that are implicit that we never say. One of those is that people who are good don't ever have negative feelings, or don't ever have difficult things happen to them, or don't ever feel lonely or sad or discouraged. We know that's not true in our mind, but do we know it in our heart, in our being, in our body? Sometimes I think we don't. And these end months of 2020 have pushed us all to the end of that. So I would encourage us to think about at least considering a couple spiritual paths for this new year that is before us with such promise. The promise of a vaccine, the promise of a calmer national picture, the promise that we will be able to, over time in the coming months, be back together in greater numbers together. All of these promises, and so I invite us to these paths. The first one would be patience. Patience, which any number of you have said to me is not your favorite path. It's not most people's. But we know that these things will not unroll immediately, that there will be more months of struggle and more months of isolation. And with that coming, we need to be aware of that, acknowledge that, listen to that voice within us that is feeling stressed or sad or unhappy about this situation and challenged. We also need to remember perseverance. We have learned a lot in this last year, and we will carry some of that learning into new ways of being as we go through this year ahead of us. However, perseverance will be important in all of that. Those who have lost someone in these last months, in these last days, will have to have a very particular kind of perseverance. And we, who are struggling so sometimes just to get through our days, need to believe that we have the courage to journey with them on these journeys of loss, for they will be still among us in these months to come. I also invite us into the spirit of curiosity. Curiosity, which perhaps we may need to engage with again as we look at some more months before us of older, now more jaded and familiar ways of being together virtually. Some of us who have rejected these ways in months before us now may want to reconsider them and even try them on, and to persevere if they don't work the first time, because sometimes working with what we can work with is important. Curiosity to continue to learn and to think about what we can take forward from this time that none of us would have wished for, but which we have all endured. And finally, and perhaps the one that more of you will greet with dislike, vulnerability. For us to continue to journey through these last months of this pandemic time, these months of economic and uncertainty before us, these months that we do not know what they will reveal, we will need to open our hearts, allow ourselves to put aside that false pride that Tennyson talked about in our hymn, and to simply allow ourselves to acknowledge that it is not a sign of weakness or moral rupture to have some sense of sadness, vulnerability, loneliness in these times, to open our hearts to being learners, new again, and to allow ourselves to feel the complexity of times that will invite us into many paradoxes as well. The beautiful Jesus statues, lovable, cute little statues that they are, have another meaning in the Japanese culture. Those statues are often dressed in the red headgear and scarves that you see in the images that we shared, by parents who have lost children who are young. They are also the accompaniers of those who have the deepest forms of mourning as well, as a source of joy and comfort to the travelers. And in this image that can hold so many different things, perhaps we see the path that we must have together. For we need to collectively, in these days, continue to release that myth of individuality and separateness that says that it is the sign of true enlightenment to need no one but oneself. It is important for us to experience and know the gifts within our hearts better, and it is just as important for us to remember that we are better together. So let us enter into this new year, this 2021, with all of its promises yet to be unrevealed, with all of its challenges also yet to be unrevealed. Let us do so with intention to do what we can, for that is what our tradition teaches us, that there is no great master plan in the universe. There is simply each of us doing our small part to make something wondrous happen. Let us do so with patience, perseverance, curiosity, and vulnerability, remembering that together we are more.
the hope. You are the courage. Together we are more. I am the hope. You are the courage. Together we are more. We can face unknown tomorrows with the strength of what we've seen. We can glimpse the far horizon, see the forest and the trees. If we join in faith together in beloved community, we can know the world is heaven in its love and unity. For you are the hope, you are the courage. Together we are more. You are the hope, I am the courage. Together we are more. We can hear another story, and its force will shape our own. We can witness to life's heartaches, and we need not feel alone. We can join in faith together, and the deepest hopes be known. We can honor all the journeys and bring all the travelers home. We are the hope, we are the courage. Together we are more. We are the hope, we are the courage. Together we are more. We can keep each other moving in the path however long. We can keep the goal before us of a world we'll all belong. We can know the earth beneath us, reaching out to right her wrongs. The journey all together in the love which makes us strong. You are the hope, we are the courage. Together we are more. We are the hope, we are the courage. Together we are more. Together we are more.
And we extinguish our chalice today with a few more words from Alfred Tennyson. Ring out the false pride of place and blood. Ring in the love of truth and right. And let us take with us the spirit of this gathering into our week ahead. Let us go in love and peace.